Dracula by Bram Stoker, Chapter 24. Dr. Seward's Diary. 5th of October. We all rose early. I think that sleep did much for each and all of us. When we met at early breakfast, there was more general cheerfulness than any of us had ever expected to experience again. It is really wonderful how much resilience there is in human nature. Let any obstructing cause, no matter what, be removed, and in any way, even by death, and we fly back to first principles of hope and enjoyment. More than once, as we sat around the table, my eyes opened in wonder whether the whole of the past days had not been a dream. It was only when I caught sight of the red blotch on Mrs. Harker's forehead that I was brought back to reality. Even now, when I am gravely resolving the matter, it is almost impossible to realize that the cause of all our troubles is still existent. Even Mrs. Harker seems to lose sight of her trouble for whole spells. It is only now and again, when something recalls it to her mind, that she thinks of her terrible scar. We are to meet here in my study in half an hour and decide on our course of action. I see only one immediate difficulty. I know it by instinct rather than reason. We shall all have to speak frankly, and yet I fear that in some mysterious way poor Mrs. Harker's tongue is tied. I know that she forms conclusions of her own. From all that has been, I can guess how brilliant and how true they must be, but she will not or cannot give them utterance. I have mentioned this to Van Helsing. He and I are to talk it over when we are alone. I suppose it is some of that horrid poison which he has got into her veins beginning to work. The Count has his own purposes, when he gave her what Van Helsing called the vampire's baptism of blood. Well, there may be a poison that distills itself out of good things. In an age when the existence of ptomaines is a mystery, we shall not wonder at anything. One thing I know, that if my instinct be true regarding poor Mrs. Harker's silences, then there is a terrible difficulty, an unknown danger. In the work before us, the same power that compels her silence may compel her speech. I dare not think further, for so I should in my thoughts dishonour a noble woman. Van Helsing is coming to my study a little before the others. I shall try to open the subject with him. Later, when the professor came in, we talked over the state of things. I could see that he had something on his mind which he wanted to say, but I felt some hesitancy about broaching the subject. After beating about the bush a little, he said suddenly, "Friend John, there is something that you and I must talk of alone, just at the first at any rate. Later we may talk to the others in our confidence." Then he stopped, so I waited. He went on. "Madame Mina, our poor dear Madame Mina is changing." A cold shiver ran through me to find my worst fears thus endorsed. Van Helsing continued. "With the sad experience of Miss Lucy, we must this time be warned before things go too far. Our task is now in reality more difficult than ever. This new trouble makes every hour the direst importance. I can see the characteristics of the vampire coming in her face. It is now but very, very slight, but is to be seen if we have eyes to notice without to prejudge. Her teeth are somewhat sharper, and at times her eyes more hard. But these are not all. There is to her silence now often, as so it was with Miss Lucy. She did not speak, even when she wrote that which she wished to be known later. Now my fear is this. If it be that she can, by our hypnotic trance, tell what the Count see and hear, is it not more true that he who have hypnotized her first, and who have drink of her very blood, and make her drink of his, should, if he will, compel her mind to disclose to him that which she know?" I nodded acknowledgment. He went on. "That which we must do is to prevent this. We must keep her ignorant of our intent, so she cannot tell what she know not. This is a painful task. Oh, so painful that it is heartbreak to me to think of, but it must be. When today we meet, I must tell her that for reason which we shall not speak she must not more be of our counsel, but simply guarded by us." He wiped his forehead, which he had broken out into profuse perspiration, as thought of the pain which he might have to inflict upon the poor soul already so tortured. I knew that it would be of some sort of comfort to him, if I told him that I had also come to the same conclusion. For any rate, it would take away the pain of doubt. I told him, and the effect was as expected. "It is now close to the time of our general gathering. Van Helsing has gone away to prepare for the meeting, and is painful part of it. I really believe his purpose is to be able to pray alone. Later. At the very outset of our meeting, a great personal relief was experienced by both Van Helsing and myself. Mrs. Harker sent a message by her husband to say that she would not join us at present, as she thought it better we should be free to discuss our movements without her presence to embarrass us. The Professor and I looked at each other for an instant, and somehow we both seemed relieved. For my own part, I thought that if Mrs. Harker realized the danger herself, it was much pain as well as much danger averted. Under the circumstances, we agreed, by a questioning look and answer, with finger on lip, to preserve silence of our suspicions, until we should be able to confer alone again. We went at once to our plan of campaign. Van Helsing roughly put the facts before us first. The Tsarina Catherine left the Thames yesterday morning. It will take her the quickest speed she has ever made at least 3 weeks to reach Varna. But we can travel overland the same place in 3 days. Now, if we allow for 2 days less for the ship's voyage, owing to such weather influences as we know that the Count can bring to bear, and if we allow a whole day and a night for any delays which may occur to us, then we have a margin of nearly 2 weeks. Thus, in order to be quite safe, we must leave here on the 17th at the latest. Then we shall at any rate be in Varna a day before the ship arrives, and to make such preparations as may be necessary. Of course we shall go armed against evil things, spiritual as well as physical. Here Quincey Morris added, I understand that the Count comes from a wolf country. It may be that we all get there before us. I propose that we add Winchesters to our armament. I have a kind of belief in Winchester when there is any trouble of that sort around. Do you remember, Art, when we had a pack at us at Tobolsk? What wouldn't we have given for a repeater apiece? Good, said Van Helsing. Winchesters it shall be. Quincey's head is level at all times, but most so when there is to hunt. Although my metaphor be more dishonour to science than wolves be of danger to man, in the meantime we can do nothing here, and as I think that Varna is not familiar to any of us, why not go there more soon, as it is a long wait here as there. To-night and tomorrow we can get ready, and then, if all be well, we 4 can set out on our journey. We 4? Said Harker interrogatively, looking from one to other of us. Of course, answered the Professor quickly. You must remain to take care of your sweet wife. Harker was silent for a while, and then said, in a hollow voice, Let us take part of that in the morning. I want to consult with Mina. I thought now that it was time for Helsing to warn him not to disclose our plans to her, but he took no notice. I looked at him significantly and coughed. For answer, he put his finger on his lips and turned away.